Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is another video, kind of by request. Had a request to do more of these types of videos, looking at an article. This is from Breitbart. John Nolte, the stupid freak out over Vogue publishing an AI-generated model. And AI is here, and it's coming, baby. It's coming for everything. Especially the models. The models are done. I mean, I was just looking at Vogue. That is an AI model right there. That is an AI model. How do you know the difference? Sometimes they put so much makeup on a model and touch up the picture so much it looks fake. And that's a real woman. This, totally fake, only exists in a computer. But let's read the article. All the usual and boring suspects are freaking out over Vogue's use of an AI-generated model in its upcoming August issue. Quote, nestled between Anne Hathaway's immaculate image on the cover and editorials covering female leadership and fashion and the representation of women in sports, reports Forbes lies an unassuming two-page spread for Guess, labeled discreetly, produced by Seraphine Valora on AI. Then the unfortunate truth arrives for the elite who never thought they'd face the same horrors of automation that have decimated the working class for decades. Quote, by producing Guess campaign using AI tools, there was no need for casting director, green room, or retoucher, Forbes adds. You might have needed a retoucher. I mean, you might have needed a computer guy. In a much shorter space of time than traditional shoots, the AI tools were still used to create a model whose every angle, expression, and shadow conformed to an idealized beauty standard. This is exactly, I'll remind you, I know, you get sick of me reminding you of this movie, but I'm going to remind you again, and I'm going to look it up. Looker with Albert Finney, 1981. It's 100% predictive of all this. If you haven't seen it, you should. 3 of 4 models who had plastic surgery done by Larry after a computed list are dead. Neither the cops nor Larry believe they are self-deletions. Larry investigates and stays with the 4th model who's behind the list and murders. This is Michael Crichton. I believe he did a book. And it's Susan Day, who's the model, and James Coburn's in it too. But this predicted everything. Everything in the movie industry. Oops. That's about... Oh, shoot. What was I on? There it was. I went back to the videos. I watched so many videos. I just naturally keep going back to YouTube. Yeah, so they're going to replace models. Now, the plot in Looker is they actually... scan you in, and then the computer moves you around, and they don't want to pay the royalties, so they kill off all the models. But they don't even have to do that. This is completely made up in AI. So there is no one person that this is based on. It's just you needed to train the AI. Then came the backlash. Within hours of the issue's release, social feeds lit up. Longtime subscribers announced cancellations. Digital forums teamed with the disbelief and outrage of readers who felt somehow duped by this method of image creation. There she is again. Duped how? Vogue was transparent about the use of AI. The AI model's hot, and hot is hot, and anyone who's ever seen Scooby-Doo's Daphne knows something doesn't have to be real to be hot. Then there's this hilarious take from far-left ABC News. It has sparked significant online controversy, with some claiming it threatens diversity in fashion and reinforces already unattainable beauty standards. Shut up. No one cares about that. We want to look at hot chicks. Women want to look at hot chicks. What do you want to do? You want to have the AI, give me a fat chick in this dress. Yeah, that's really going to sell you some blouses, isn't it? And John Nolte goes on, oh, I see. So fashion is not about selling clothes or wish fulfillment or pushing men and women alike to strive for a standard. No, it's about making a the homely feel better about themselves. Maybe y'all shouldn't be reading Vogue in the first place. Fact check, the whining will stop nothing. Whenever it's possible to use AI, you all need to come to terms and accept the fact that AI is already here. Yes. Yes, and it's going to just go from here. Already, they're talking about a platform, I believe it's Netflix, where you ask the AI what you want to see, and the AI makes it happen. Now, right now, I think it's in the cartoon stage, but it'll get better. It'll get better. So imagine this: Netflix, as you know, has various movies that is on its platform from time to time. They bring them in for a few weeks, and they license it. It's there, and then it's gone. So, while let's say the Blues Brothers, one of my favorite movies, and I don't know, let's say Star Wars is both on the platform. I mean, Star Wars is owned by Disney now, but let's just say for whatever reason Netflix license it for a few months and puts it on Netflix. While they, you can watch regular Star Wars, but you can also ask the AI, I want to see a mashup of Star Wars and the Blues Brothers, 90 minutes from beginning to end. I want to hear original songs. I want to see space battles. I want to see Jake and Elwood as the main characters. But I also want to see Luke Skywalker. I want him to have a Wookiee. I want Han Solo in it. I want Princess Leia. Like, I want all the characters in it. That would be, for me, a fun movie. For some of you, you'd be like, what? And the AI would come up with something probably totally insane. Probably wouldn't make much sense. But the novelty of that would be fun. At first. At first, a lot of people would get a lot of mileage out of doing that. The next step, of course, is you have an AI. Like, for instance, this wouldn't happen on Gab because they're very anti-porn. But someone's going to make an AI where you could also do porn. So someone's going to say, hey, AI, I want to see the porno version of whatever movie you like. Whatever movie has hot chicks in it. Let's say it's a cheerleader movie, or I don't know, something with Anna Kendrick in it, or something with Denise Richards in it when she was a smoke show. What's that movie? Or maybe like Dangerous Liaisons, if you're into, naked chicks in the 1700s or something. And the AI absolutely will 100% be able to do that. That's what a lot of people are going to ask for, by the way. They're just going to ask for their favorite stars and whatever. So imagine you just say, hey, I want to see, I don't know, let's think of another movie. I like Big Trouble in Little China. I know, I'm mentioning all 80s movies. I'm trying to think of a current one. Well, I mean, The Naked Gun, right? Like, before they decided to reboot it with Liam Neeson, you could have asked them for anybody. You could have said, I'd like to see The Naked Gun with Christopher Walken, please. And they just, with new jokes. And the AI will make up some lame jokes. And, you could even ask the AI, I want jokes that would George Carlin would write. And actually, a couple of months ago, maybe it was last year, they created an AI George Carlin. The AI wrote jokes in George's style. It wasn't that great, but it was definitely his voice, and just sort of set it loose. And people watched it, and there was a bit of a controversy. Obviously, the estate of George Carlin was horrified. But yeah, this is here. So the actors, a lot of them will be replaced. Now, the AI is going to be able to act about as well as it could write, meaning that it can't really act. It can only ape other actors. Now, with some slick editing and some multiple prompts, you might be able to get the performance out of the AI. Maybe. Maybe. It depends on how much power you have, how much time you have, and all that good stuff. The problem with the AI right now is, if you've ever used it, if you ask the AI to, like I've asked the AI, I do a comic on the Web Comic Factory. I haven't done it in a while. I should try it to see how the AI can do it now, but I ask it to make a comic. And I tried to get it to write the comic too, but that was a disaster. So I started writing the comic. I would let the AI make the image, and then I would fill in the word balloons. But the problem is, the AI draws the character from panel to panel very inconsistently. So it looks different each time, unless it's super simple. Like one time, it almost was perfect because the character was super cartoony and simple. But more often than not, each panel was a different but similar character. And a couple of times it would just repeat itself, and it would have characters melting into each other, and, you know, 7 fingers and the whole deal. So the AI needs a ton of guidance, depending on how much power it has, and depending on how it was trained. So we haven't gotten to the point where it can totally supplant movies and make a sitcom for you, but that's inevitable. And at that point, you won't need a lot of actors, if you need any at all. In fact, you know, I could do the Pineys, let's say. I could be Hemingway, and I could surround myself with AI characters. And the AIs couldn't act as well as me, but they'd be close. They might be close enough. Or I could just get somebody to be, say, Lewis, and the two of us could, you know, handle the majority of the emotion, and you know, sort of cheat the emotion from the other characters if we have to. But even then, like after a while, all you'll really need to do is go to someone and say, hey, can I use your image for my movie? Pay him a small stipend. Like, you know, I could just go to, if I was doing a Pineys, I would go to my relatives and say, hey, you guys want to be in my movie? I'm going to put you in as the Pineys. And probably a lot of them would be like, yeah, hell yeah, like, let me in. And then I'm going to have a bunch of people who are the image, and then, you know, I'll just make the AI make, you know, say the dialogue. So the downside is, of course, you know, normally you would hire actors and pay them, and, you know, a crew, and you would shoot this movie and everything. And I've done that, and it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of money, and that's a problem. I don't have money. But what the AI would allow me to do is shoot a movie of the Pineys with no money, like no money. Now, we're not quite there yet, but we're getting close, and I'm experimenting with some of the AI. I haven't gotten much. Let me see if I can show you. I think I've put this on my Twitter feed. So this is, I asked the AI to draw or to do a scene with one of the Pineys fighting the Jersey Devil. Now, as you can see, this Piney has 3 arms. So I don't know why it drew a 3rd arm, but other than the 3rd arm, it looks pretty badass. And the fact that he's not really aiming at the Jersey Devil, he's sort of aiming. So this is mostly unusable, but I could probably use like that clip right there, like a 2-second clip. The problem is that when they draw this guy again, I don't know what he's got, you know, or when they render him again, I don't know what he's going to look like, right? He might look like that guy, or he might look kind of close to him. So, like, I want it to be Hemingway, and Hemingway has a particular look. They all have a particular look, but, you know, I'm just trying to right now. I'm just trying to do a trailer for the Pineys, and yeah, so I might be able to do a trailer for the Pineys. Um, it's something. I'm waiting for the cost of the AI to go down, or maybe I'll do it this Christmas. But AI is really just advancing very quickly. So, for instance, one of the AIs can now read your book, and like Amazon's begging me, let our AI read your book for the audiobook, and I haven't done it because I would rather do the voices myself. Again, I just haven't had time to do it. But there are other, I've already talked to a guy who's a trucker, and he says I get the Chat GPT to read me books when I'm driving. So the Chat GPT will already do that. So you can use an AI to read a book. So for those of you who don't know, you can do that. So, as long as you have access to it in your car or on your phone or whatever, you're good to go. You're good to go. So the AI is a tool, you know. So the freak out, it is supplanting jobs, just like the car supplanted, say, the horse and buggy guys, right? So if you were running a delivery company and you had used, horses and buggies, or a taxi service, and then you switched over to cars, well, obviously you wouldn't need the stable guy anymore. You wouldn't need the horses. You would just need the cars and, the fuel, and that switched over. And you might say, oh, that's terrible. All those poor stable hands and horse feeders and, other people who take care of the horses all lost their jobs. Well, that's progress, unfortunately. But some of them got new jobs. Some of them probably became taxi drivers in the actual car, right? Like you could imagine a young guy, he starts out as a stable boy, but then the cars come and he gets his driver's license, and he's one of the first cabbies in New York, let's say. And then, he makes a good living for himself. Now, not everybody can make that jump. Some guys are like, oh, never ride in a car, always ride a horse. And, for a decade or two, that's still a viable solution. But, after about 30 years, it's all done, right? It's, by the 1930s, like it was just cars. So that's kind of where we're at. We're at the beginning of that process. And I would say maybe 5 years or less. Probably less. Within 5 years, I'll say. Definitely all magazines, definitely all print and, online models will be AI. There'll just be no reason to hire anybody. And think about the guys too, right? They're always like totally ripped. Those guys got to work out like crazy to stay completely ripped like that. Now that guy, you don't have to pay a guy. You just have to pay a computer nerd to generate one. And again, once you can get to the point where you could generate one of those hot models and get it to talk and move exactly how you want, then the commercials will be the same. You'll see ads with amazingly beautiful people that don't exist. And then they'll move that up maybe to, the time will get longer and longer. So maybe they'll do short little films on, products or whatever, but eventually they'll start doing a narrative sitcom or story. And the amazing thing that opens up is exactly what it opens up in with a comic book, right? So one of the things I noticed when I was doing screenplays, and then I insanely started doing comics, but one of the advantages was I could do whatever I wanted because the artist could draw whatever I wanted, right? So in a movie that I would shoot locally, it would have to take place in New Jersey. It couldn't have a lot of car crashes or anything in it. like things like a volcano or aliens or vampires or robots. Like none of that. I couldn't afford any of that. It wouldn't have looked good. So, but when I switched over to comics, oh, I could do all that and more. It's the same thing with AI. So now, when you're switching to, let's say, just a sitcom, a sitcom, let's take one everybody knows. I don't know. You got Cheers, right? Cheers was an 80s sitcom starring Ted Danson, and Shelley Long was his love interest, and then it was Kirstie Alley, and then Frasier joined the cast at some point, and it was a huge hit for a lot of years. The problem, though, was Shelley Long left the show. She left the show, and they had to replace her with Kirstie Alley. And the show lost some viewers then, and then Frasier became a popular character. They initially had a guy named Coach, who was the dumb guy, and then I think they brought in Woody Harrelson, but then Coach died. The actor who played him died, which was very sad, but Woody was the replacement Coach, the dumb guy. And, he became the new guy. Now, if you're doing a show like Cheers in AI, first off, none of the characters will have to age. That's number one. Number two, none of the actors will die. So you're not going to have that problem. You can take the show outside. One of the things you can't really do in a sitcom, unless it's very popular, is shoot a lot of footage outside, because it's more expensive and it's not in front of the studio audience. So they tend not to do it for sitcoms. But if you notice on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, for a while they were actually shooting in various places in Philly. And now that they all live in LA, that's kind of expensive because they have to all fly out to Philly and shoot there and then all fly back. Now you wouldn't have to worry about that at all. And in fact, if you had a sitcom, let's say, about a group of, stewardesses, you could have different sets everywhere. A sitcom typically has 3 locations in an episode. Maybe one is different each week, but typically it's the same 3 locations. Now you could do a sitcom in which you never see the same location twice if you want, and the locations are up to your imagination. So that gives you an advantage. You can, now, obviously from a narrative point, the rhythm of a sitcom, you probably don't want to go too nuts, but it does give you that option, right? You could suddenly take the characters outside and it's not a problem at all. You aren't just in Cheers, let's say, the bar, where all the characters hang out. You could actually go outside the bar. You can go into the parking lot, you can go to the loading dock, you can go to the back room, you can go to one of the characters' houses. It doesn't matter. You can go anywhere you want. And that opens it up to more creative endeavors. And same thing with a movie, right? You don't have to do a movie that takes place in the modern day just because you're shooting it, locally and you don't have a big budget. Now you can set the movie in whatever time period you want, because you can make the AI say, okay, I don't want to see any technology before, after 1994, because it takes place in 1994, let's say. And instantly the AI will immediately flag any technology that's too new. And, you can make sure the hairstyles and clothes are all correct, and the cars, and you can have characters die whenever you want, or come back to life, or, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And in a sitcom, or just a narrative show, you could actually have way more characters. See, when they were shooting the original Star Trek, Harlan Ellison wrote The City on the Edge of Forever, which is a famous episode of Star Trek. Now, Gene Roddenberry typically rewrote every script that came in because he ran the show, and that's what happened. Harlan was very upset when Gene Roddenberry took a script and rewrote it. He thought it was brilliant, but they didn't have a big budget, and Harlan had written a scene in the city on the Edge of Forever, where there were dozens of extras, which was very expensive at the time. Now that wouldn't be a consideration, right? You could have dozens of extras; it wouldn't matter. So you can have a big mob scene where one of the characters is chased by an angry mob of aliens. In this case, that wouldn't be any more expensive than just having him sit in a room by himself. So it changes the complete dynamic of your choices. So now you could do the City on the Edge of Forever exactly as Harlan wanted it to. As in fact, they have never produced it as Harlan wrote it. They produced it as Gene Roddenberry rewrote it. And he rewrote it for, mostly pragmatic reasons. Some of it was creative differences, but it was his show. But Harlan, at least if you look at it, and I've read his original script, some of it wasn't very Star Trek-y, I would say. But again, a lot of it has extra stuff that at that time would have been very expensive to shoot. Now you could just do it. You can do whatever you want. The only limit would be your imagination and the power of the AI, and your ability to tell it and get to. That's the only real limit. Right now, yeah, you're gonna hit a pretty low ceiling when you try to get the AI to give you something. And again, the consistency isn't quite there yet. But give it a few years. AI is coming, baby. It's coming for your job, ladies. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Sorry for the ramble, but I got on a jag. Friday, I'm going to be at the Osprey Men's Club for their breakfast talk. And I'm the speaker, so that's going to be fun. That's for members, though. But Tuesday, August 5th, I'll be back at the LBI Book Swap. So I think I told them noon. I think I'm going to get there at noon and try to stay all day. Depends on the weather. Depends on how hot it is. Or God forbid if it rains. But should be a great day, because it's always a great day at the Long Island Book Swap. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.